Well, I mean, we have seen a more impressive recovery in Asia, Japan, as you mentioned, but maybe the more muted response we see in Europe and the US may feed into the following session in Asia. Maybe there's been a bit of a sort of a sharper reversal in Asia in this recovery than was anticipated. Playing out from here, it's very difficult to call. I think we've got this sort of black hole in terms of sort of data and central bank communications. I mean, we've got some earnings, but Nvidia earnings aren't coming for a few weeks yet. So look, I think the asymmetry's just not particularly favourable at this moment over the coming weeks. There just doesn't seem to be that catalyst to sort of get markets sort of firing again, and the worry is that you get this sort of self-feeding sort of volatility frenzy as markets sort of sell off. Risk positions have to be reduced, and that's taking more money out of equities. Bond yields fall as markets get sort of more nervous. So it is certainly a worrying period. I have a more positive message over the medium term, but over the next sort of few weeks, 3 weeks, I think we sort of have to strap ourselves in for a bit of volatility.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sustained piece of volatility. And also, if we mention volatility, we have to make note of the VIX having gone to that 65 handle as well. It doesn't often do that. Is that kind of a sentiment that you perhaps think about and think, well, not just VIX, but just volatility as we head towards the end of the year? That could certainly be in play, especially then with election risk happening a little bit later on.
Yeah, I mean, it was a remarkable sort of spike in volatility, as you reference moments in history that we've sort of reached and don't seem to have like an event. I mean, what we would talk about is that perhaps the markets have become more cognizant of recessionary risks, but the data doesn't sort of bolt on sort of point to that. I mean, certainly, as I would reflect to the market, as acknowledged, the risks have risen based on some of that US jobs data, but it doesn't seem to be such a seismic event going on in markets for VIX to have moved in that direction, which to an extent, as I said, and historically suggests like it's a reasonable buying opportunity. But at the moment, I think we sort of wait to need to hear from central banks and reassuring messages from central banks about how they expect to execute and manage policy from here, really to sort of settle market nerves. Otherwise, I think until then, things could be a little bumpy.